Hey guys, hey, happy Friday. Welcome to Manufacturing E-commerce Success. And wait a minute, there's something a little off right now. Somebody's like, Damon, what'd you do, like Grecian formula? Or like what's like how did dude, you look like 20 years younger. Oh,
Thanks.
wait, you're not Damon.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I was gonna blame it on the time machine I invented because I'm so smart. Because I'm Damon, clearly.
It's the AI young version of Damon. That's what it is. It's the
Hey,
AI young.
It's an honor. Any comparison to Damon, I'm in. Count me in.
Well, you know what? So Damon lost a loved one. So we're sending tons of love, our deepest condolences, Damon and his wife and his family in this tough, difficult time. So Damon, our thoughts and prayers are with you, brother. So send that to your wife. Jeff Long was Johnny on the spot to fill in. I just don't like going solo, Jeff. I just don't, and like I could go rogue. And so I need you here to kind of keep the bumpers on. It's like we're bowling, need the bumpers. Jeff Long, quick introduction to yourself. What's going on, Mr. Dayton, Ohio?
Yeah, thanks again for having me on. Thanks for thinking of me and including me. I'm super excited to be talking with you and Joe, of course, about the Industrial Marketing Summit. A little bit about me. I own a marketing agency called TREW Media. Do a lot of video marketing and web design and everything in between. Some fun other projects we can talk about another time. But excited to be here. Thanks again.
Well, awesome, Jeff. And the reason I wanted to pull you in is the three of us had the honor and privilege. We did dinner together a couple of years ago at the Industrial Marketing Summit in Cleveland. And so with that, here's an introduction with the man of the hour, Joe Sullivan, founder of Gorilla 76. Joe, happy Friday. How are you, dude?
Doing well, and yeah, awesome to be back, Kurt. It's been a little while since we've done this, but I think I've been on your show one other time. You've been on mine a couple times, and it's fun to do this.
You know what? I got bad news for you. I think you've been on like 4 or 5 times.
No, it hasn't been 4 or 5. Oh, because you did a double once. I remember.
So we had you on solo. We had you, Wendy, and Adam on a year ago.
That's right.
We went live in Cleveland, and you were on site. And
true.
We were live in Austin, and you were on site. So I know of at least 4. I think this is at least your 5th. I'd have to look back in the archives, but I'm going to say this is at least your 5th time. So how's that?
It's good to know. It's good to know at 42 that my memory's already failing me.
Well, so, yeah. It's just, you know what? You're like my wife. I'm not very memorable. My wife says the exact same thing.
Oh,
so
come on.
We'll dive in. So, hey, we've got a friend here today. So Bob Feathers. Bob, happy Friday, says, good afternoon, gents. Jeff Long, Joe Sullivan, looking forward to the conversation. Bob, thank you. Happy Friday. God bless you, brother. So, all right, Joe, let's just dive right in. Tell us a little bit of background. First, I want to dive into Gorilla 76, and then we're going to do a super deep dive. We're going to totally geek out about the Industrial Marketing Summit coming up next month in Austin. Who is Gorilla 76, and how do you make the world a better place?
Yeah. So Gorilla 76 is my marketing agency. My business partner, John Franco, and I founded the agency about 18 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long, but we've kind of started by taking checks from whoever would write one to us to do anything that could be considered marketing. And, it was probably about 10, 12 years ago where we really niched down into where we were doing our best work, which is in B2B manufacturing. And so we kind of made that, decided to own that, go all in on that. And so, our clients are OEMs, contract manufacturers, custom manufacturers, industry 4.0 technology companies running, software, hardware, and production lines. And we help them, kind of build revenue-focused marketing programs through positioning, content, a lot of distribution of content and making sure the right people are consuming it, et cetera. So that's kind of our world. But yeah, we're a 27 person agency based in St. Louis, but people are kind of all over at this point. So that's a Gorilla.
Awesome. So, all right. And you also have a wonderful podcast. Just share your podcast with the folks.
Yeah. So I've been running the manufacturing executive for about 4.5 years. I'm proud to say I have not missed a single week. So it's running, I think, about 240 straight weeks now or something like that. Every Tuesday morning comes out. They're not live shows. So if they were live shows like yours, well, one, I wouldn't have the following because I can't do it the way you do it. I can't think on the spot. I'm a planner and I need to edit stuff and everything. But so I have a lot of admiration for people like you who can run a live show. But yeah, it's, the show's been focused really on putting the spotlight on people who are leaders in manufacturing, or people who can offer some perspective to help leaders in manufacturing from a variety of perspectives. It's not a marketing show. It's a show about really the things from supply chain to labor to sustainability to technology and robotics and automation and all the things that manufacturing leaders deal with. So find experts to talk about those things as a resource to manufacturing leaders.
Well, I love it. And I'm going to show my age. I don't know if anybody remembers this guy. You're the Cal Ripken of podcasting, right? You're just going on and on and on. I don't know if Jeff, are you even old enough to know
you?
Okay, you guys remember?
I remember when he.
Cal Ripken. Yeah, I grew up watching Cal Ripken. Yeah.
All right. So
but I got to give that one to like Nick Gollner with making chips and like those guys, and or Chris Lukey's got me beat too for sure. But no, I've been at it for 4.5 years isn't so bad.
Well,
so
keep it going. I love it. You know what? And hey, Jeff, while you're on the stage here with us, you just launched a new podcast. Share with the folks your podcast while we're at it.
Yeah. Thanks so much. So it's called the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast. And like I said to you guys before we hit live here, I'm just trying to catch up to you guys as the experts. And just like Joe said to you, Kurt, you do live so well. And I think maybe for people like Joe and I, like we just kind of need more structure or whatever. So I've thought about experimenting with like a live podcast that's recorded that I put out later and all that. But for now, it's a pre-recorded thing and loving it, talking with other marketing leaders in the industry. And we talk about a lot of video content. Sammy Birch talked about how they use Maslow's hierarchy of needs in their marketing. I mean, I'm just like, I've been doing marketing for like almost 22 years. And that was the first time that came up in that way. Right. Like, so it's just so cool how you learn new things and meet great people.
Well, and leave it as Sammy Birch, man. God, I love her. And so, and here, having two, it's really difficult to be on stage with you two guys. You're rocking like these, it's good for you guys, these great heads of hair. And look at what Bob says, plus if you want to go live, you go either gray or bald. So Bob, dude, that is absolutely hysterical. I love it. So don't go. And the only reason I go live is I'm just too lazy to edit. That's the only reason. So don't give me any credit. I'm just way too lazy to edit. So, all right, Joe, let's go here. You know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on this. You said 18 years. I'm no math major. That was like right around. I think there was something going on in the country. Like, was there like maybe this little recession thing going on like right before you started? And what I love is you've shared with us multiple times on your pivot where you're like, maybe you're kind of like, you're young, you're getting things out, if I recall, fresh out of college, just anybody that's willing to cut a check is going to be a customer. But just, I'd love for you to share with folks how you made that pivot and you went all in. Like, when did you have that aha moment of like, there's really B2B? So talk to us about like getting through the recession, how you got through as a young guy through the Great Recession, and how you made the pivot into B2B and in industrial marketing.
Sure. Yeah. So, I graduated college in 2005. And found a job at a marketing agency in St. Louis, where I worked for about 2 years. But it was like literally a week into that job. I started in June of 2006, and the 76 in Gorilla 76 comes from 7th month of 2006. So literally 1 month into my first job, John and I founded Gorilla as what was really a nights and weekends, kind of freelance gig. And again, just, like branding I grew up as an art kid. And so like I would do logos, and we started designing websites and seeing the emerging need for that. John was a writer, so we had complementary skill sets. So we some of our first clients before we were able to, about 2 years in, we were able to quit our jobs. It took about 2 years before we were like making enough money to sustain ourselves for the like $300 a month rent I was paying, splitting in a cheap apartment with 3 guys at the age of 24 or whatever. It was like it was bootstrapping at my computer from college. That was like my only asset I needed to running an information business. But anyway, we in 2008 we started full time. It didn't take long before like a lot of our first clients were in construction actually, and we kind of got our foray into working with industrial sector companies, guys who made stuff with their hands, was like really where we, I had this kind of gritty design style, and John grew up in Granite City, Illinois, like a steel mill town. And so I know we just kind of found our niche there, and it didn't take long before we were like, we had clients who were the barber shop down the street, and we had clients who were like professional services. But we really loved working with, the companies that we at the time called blue collar brands. And it was really what that meant. It was like manufacturing and construction. And we wound up making the decision to go all in on manufacturing because of just, you've got this whole supply chain from OEM down through their tier 1s and 2s and 3s to, these niches you never would know exist as a regular just person on the street for people making stuff all around you. Whereas in construction, we were running into lots of conflicts of interest. Like I've turned down 100 GCs, like general contractors, over the years, because theoretically they could bid on the same job as our one GC who's been our client for 15 years. And in manufacturing, there's just so much opportunity, and there's so much need for it. So that we made this conscious pivot. It was probably around, 2012, something like that would be my guess, where we said, like, we're going to be an industrial marketing agency, and we're going to cut off 95% of the people we could work with, but own this. And it was best choice we ever made. So.
Well, I love it. Riches earn the niches, as they say. Jeff, your thoughts? I know, like, you made a pivot, went all in on B2B. What are your thoughts as what Joe's saying here?
Yeah, I mean, we share a similar story, and I found, probably like you, Joe, and Kurt, like, people in manufacturing in the industrial space, like, they're good people. They're not pretentious. They're hardworking. They're making cool stuff. And every time I go into a shop or talk to a manufacturing leader, whoever, it's like, I just get pumped because they're just doing cool stuff, And so, Joe, was it hard to make that transition kind of all in? You mentioned kind of putting maybe 80% or whatever of your clients on the back burner or whatever to go all into manufacturing. Was that hard at first?
I remember being like nervous, sure. Not like terrified, but like a little nervous. We knew we could always revert back if we needed to. And at that time, probably half of our clients would have been classified as industrial B2B. And it's not like I still have some clients from that time. I've got like, 2 remaining who would not fit B2B manufacturing that we were working with then. We're still working with. I'm not going to broadcast as a company that they literally do like dairy trade, like commodity trading in the dairy space. It's like completely different. And they're an amazing client, awesome company. But I'm not going to go put that in our positioning that we will also work with the dairy industry, because it's now all of a sudden your positioning becomes kind of a mess. But they know we work with mostly manufacturers, but we do great work for them. They great relationships. So we maintained other clients, but to the outside world, I think so much of it is about just what you say about who you want to work with, and then it starts to snowball, because that messaging becomes attractive to people like that, and then you work with more of them, and you get experience, and you start to do all this pattern matching where you see that OEMs that are selling CapEx equipment that costs over $500,000 and have 9-month sales cycles, with engineers selling to engineers and plant managers and CFOs and procurement, and like they experience a lot of the same stuff. So you get really good at being able to say, I've seen this before and this before and this before, and I know how to apply that if I can just learn about your business. I know like what things are. So you kind of give your clients the gift of not going first, I guess is how I describe it, when you can get down into that niche. But it was, to answer your question, Jeff, I guess more simply, it was maybe a nervous time, but we approached it cautiously, I think. Yeah.
Well, I love that. And for a shameless plug, we have our monthly jam sessions, and next Thursday we're doing a jam session, my dear friend Allison DeFord and Wesleyan, and it's all about like really diving into that buyer persona. And Wesleyan preaches that all the time, Joe, and I love what you're saying. When you try to be everything to everybody, what do you become? nothing
to
no
nobody.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we're going to be doing, we've got a fun jam session. We've got the MEPs are sponsoring us next Thursday. So just a little plug there. Let's go. I'm going to fast forward. Let's go into the Industrial Marketing Summit. So now the three of us had the honor and privilege. We had a wonderful, delightful little Mexican dinner together in Cleveland at the Industrial Marketing Summit. Joe, was that the first summit that you'd been to?
It was the first one I had been to. So the history of the summit was it was Adam Beck from Cadenas Part Solutions, who I think it was kind of his brainchild. And this was like right before COVID, and because he had asked me. It was a part of Content Marketing World. So for anybody who knows that event, that Joe Pulizzi, who's like a famous, marketer who's written 5 books and is the guy who dubbed the term content marketing, or at least claims to be. I don't know if that's actually true, but I think it is. But anyway, so he runs this big in Cleveland every year. And Adam's idea, Adam Beck, was we should run a track inside a Content Marketing World that is just for manufacturers or industrial marketers. And then COVID came along, and he had asked me to be the moderator for it. I think they may have done one prior to me being aware of it, but it didn't happen for a year or two. Then it came back around like 2.5 years ago or something. And that's the one that we were at. And I got to be essentially, the MC for the event, which was really just 4 sessions. It was like 4.5-hour sessions. So it was somewhat limited. And it was great. They did a really good job putting it on. But I remember walking home from the event that night. It was me and Adam and then Wendy Covey from TREW Marketing. And the three of us were like walking home together. We're back to the hotel and talking about like, this was cool, but like the breakfast sucked and there wasn't enough food. And like there were only 4 sessions, and like and Wendy had a bunch of event experience. We're like, we could do this thing on our own, right? And we're like, yeah, I think so. And that's sort of when it was born. And then, a week later, we're on a conference call planning the first independent standalone version of this, which is what happened last year in Austin. So, yeah.
Isn't that why? And I forgot about that. Wendy's previous life. So I'm talking about Wendy Covey, the founder of TREW Marketing, not to confuse True Focus Media, but from TREW Marketing. And her previous life was booking events. Jeff, so you and I, we came together, we attended Cleveland. What were your thoughts attending the Industrial Marketing Summit?
It was amazing, right? It's like, and it wasn't just the content. And yes, the content was great. The sessions, Joe, you mentioned there were only 4. Totally agree. I'm like, I could, we need to blow this thing up and make it better and bigger and all that. But it's also the people, the people that were there, like obviously we got to grab a meal and got to meet other, practitioners, aficionados, people in marketing departments within, manufacturers, as well as, service providers like the 3 of us, and just meet good people. And a lot of times people that we've seen online and interacted with, and maybe even on podcasts, but to actually like see people, there's magic that happens when people, meet in person. And there was truly magic for sure there. Yeah. Yeah.
So Joe, let's go here. So you're a busy guy, father of 3, family man, you've got this business, 20 staff, you're saving manufacturers all over the place. What was it like to sit back and say, did you have were you just all in immediately? Like, yes, I'm doing it. Did you like sit down with John? Did you sit down with your wife? Like, was there a moment of pause? Like, what am I doing? Or like, how did you go all in on the conference?
Yeah, it was one of those things where like we're walking home that night and we're, there's this adrenaline rush from like, oh, this was a really cool thing, but we could do better. And then I remember a couple of weeks of like, oh, do we really want to like
what did I just get myself into, right?
It's gonna be so much work, and it was like it was a lot of work, and like, what if we sell 20 tickets? And we like there was risk there too, because you lock up. We did this last year at the AT&T Center on the UT campus in Austin, which is where we're back again this year. But it was, there was some big investments there that were, we had to sell some tickets to like just break even. Right. And we did, and there was a little bit of profit on top of it last year, but it was, yes, there was probably a month there of, of just, do I really want to do this? I think Wendy's event experience, Adam's event experience gave a lot of confidence, because we do a lot of digital events. We have had very little, if any, experience. It had been like a decade since I'd put on a live event with more than 30 people or something like that. And so but once we decided we were in, which was pretty quickly, like we had to start planning it like fast. So it was weekly meetings and putting crews together from all of our teams, because there was just so much to facilitate.
Well, so go ahead, Jeff, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, so thinking back from last year, I wasn't able to attend, had a conflict, a scheduling conflict, was super bummed. So, how would you summarize what all I missed, what the viewers missed that weren't able to attend last year? I'm sure there's a lot of FOMO, but what was your kind of impression from last year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was prepared for anything. It was one of those deals where it was like, this could bomb. This could be, we're going to run into problems. We don't know what they are yet. And then we didn't. Like the biggest thing that happened was like we forgot one of the banners that had to like hang in the lobby. That was like, nobody would have noticed anyway. And I think it was actually in somebody's car, and then we put it up an hour later. But it was literally, I mean, it was, everybody we worked with was on all three teams. Like we did have kind of an all-star crew between the agencies and the people at the AT&T Center were like super accommodating. Their IT team was like just took care of everything. But what the event was, it was basically like played out over 3 days, where the first night there was a welcome party that we did offsite. I'm forgetting the names of the venues, but we found Wendy being from Austin, and then Moby, one of my teammates who also lives in Austin. And then I know Adam flew in from Ohio to do. They like figured out where toured some places, but so there was a sort of a party, a welcome party that first night. The main day was just speaker sessions, and we had 2 tracks going side by side for about half the day. So I think there were about 10 sessions or something like that, where we were running them basically on the hour. Food was great at AT&T Center. Like, sometimes you go to these places and there's not enough to eat, which was the case in Cleveland, I feel like the year before. But so we like made sure there was gonna be lots of food and good food. And so that was cool. And then that night there was a post summit soiree, I think we called it, offsite also. So we had kind of like 2 nights out. Those were social events. So I stayed out way later than I should have, as did many people. And then the following morning on the final day was 2 separate workshops that were like optional add-ons, which we're doing again this year. This year they're on the front end of it as opposed to the tail end of it. So that was kind of the setup. A lot of people, I'd say probably half to 3/4 stuck around for the workshops as well on that day, which my agency put on one and Wendy's agency put on one. But it was such a cool experience, because like, at Gorilla, we put on this event called Industrial Marketing Live that we've been doing for like 3 years, and twice a month. And there's usually 50 or 100 people who show up that are all industrial marketers. And we knew all these people because we see them every week or every other week, but we've never been in a room. So it was that, and it was like people like Kurt and Jeff. I'd met you 2 years before, but it was a lot of that too, where it's like you have these people that have become acquaintances and friends in a lot of cases digitally, that being in the same place was such a great experience. So but that's kind of what it was last year, and the feedback was great. It was a no-brainer to do it again. We've like open same venue, but much bigger space inside the venue that we've rented this year to accommodate as many as 400, whereas last year 200 attended. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And of course, Bob Feathers says, and if Chris Lukey's there, it's got good beer right there for sure, right?
There you go.
I tell you, I had a great time with Chris Lukey, Greg Mishu, his son, and it was just like you're saying, Jeff, it was just, people that I've known for years, even people I've known, Chris Lukey, I've known him before COVID. And finally meeting people in person. Bob has a great question. Again, thank you guys. Thank you for your comments. Drop a note, connect with Joe Sullivan on LinkedIn, connect with my buddy Jeff Long on LinkedIn. You'll be thankful that you did. Do you have an effective way to know if the event was successful, ROI beyond The event itself, phenomenal question, Bob. What are your thoughts, Joe?
That is a great question, Bob. And so I look at an event like this the same way I look at probably 90% of the marketing that I believe in, which is we are playing the long game here. At least how we do it for ourselves, how we do it for the clients that are willing to do it this way, right? Is as opposed to let's run direct response ads and see if $1 in pulls $2 out, within a few months or something. I've always been a huge fan of, becoming the best resource for your audience. Like that has always been our objective at Gorilla, is like, can we be the best resource for industrial marketers, and make everything revolve around that. So from, our agency running 3 podcasts to Industrial Marketing Live, to we run a community of industrial marketers called Industrial Marketing Collective that's got like 300 people in there, where we just facilitate conversations and people publish content and ask questions. Like, this is another piece of that from my perspective, is how do you just make yourself who people think of when they think of industrial marketing, and how to learn and do it differently. So how do you measure ROI, or how do you measure success? Like, yeah, there's an ROI component. If like Wendy and I had a conversation about that a month ago, like, what's our long-term vision for this? Like, this will hopefully become a meaningful part of Gorilla and TREW Marketing's business models into the future. Right now, we're just trying to break even and like get people there. And, I think we've got 250 tickets sold already for this year, which is 50 up from where we finished last year. And we got 6 weeks to go, so that's great. But I think really it's about creating a space to bring together industrial marketers, be the facilitators of that. Like, it's kind of a all ships rise situation here. I think if you can, bring amazing people together and have a lineup of speakers who are going to create tons of value for, people who are all fighting the same challenges in their organizations. So, and then naturally, people call us up after the event. Hey, I was at your event and I listened to your podcast, and I follow, whoever on LinkedIn, Aaron Burrish or Brendan Forrest or whoever from my team. And, we're looking for an agency. So I think it all plays together to just kind of put you in a position of leadership in the space.
Yeah, I love that. And as we're coming to the top of the hour, real quick, before, if people have a hard stop, I want to grab the Industrial Marketing Summit website real quick. Mm-hmm. Can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And all right, perfect. And so, take a look when you get a chance, go to Industrial Marketing Summit. It has its own LinkedIn page. Go to the website. It's February 26th through the 28th. It's in Austin, Texas. Wendy guarantees it's going to be beautiful weather. As Joe said, the food is phenomenal. It's just an amazing, boy, if you're a music fan, it's a great place to be. Joe, let's just talk a little bit about what folks can expect at the summit for those that are going to attend.
Yeah, sure. So we're doing things a little bit differently this year, in the sense that we'll have the workshops, which are sort of an optional add-on that you can buy, are happening on the front end as opposed to the back end. Had that suggestion given to us from a few people who have attended other events. So Wednesday, as you can see there, Kurt's got up on screen, 8 to 12. There'll be 2 workshops that are each 2 hours long. Gorilla's putting on one. We're going to teach our road mapping process, which is like how to build a marketing strategy, and the process we take our clients through. We're just going to really just teach it and provide a bunch of assets for how to do that. And then Wendy's team is putting on one as well. And I feel bad that the topic is slipping my mind because there's so much we've been talking about. But so her team at TREW is putting on a workshop. Then we will have a keynote on that day after the lunch from Paul Reitzer, who is a name that if you're in marketing, you probably know, maybe not if you're in manufacturing, but he owned an agency for many years. they were the first ever HubSpot partner agency. He kind of came up with that idea, and he was also the founder of the Marketing AI Institute, which is like, in my opinion, that's like who I want to follow. Like his weekly podcast is teaching everything that's going on in AI, and it's expanded even outside of marketing a bit. But he's a big name guy that like we are really excited to have here. I can't wait to shake his hand and listen to him speak. So that's one difference, is we've got like a really serious sort of keynote speaker that we'll kick things off. That night we've got our marketing mingle, where we're going to, that one will take place at the actual hotel. The next day is sessions all day. We've got like two tracks running, so you'll have kind of an option. Do I want to go to this session or this session? Those will all be published very soon, like what the actual schedule is. The speakers and sessions are all down below, but what the actual schedule is will be published pretty soon. And then on the following day, we are running another day of sessions, and that's really the difference between last year and this year. Is we're doing 2 full days of speakers in addition to the workshops, which kind of go deeper. So and then the price is about the same. So we more for the for what you're paying this year around. But we got Kurt's been scrolling through here. We got a lot of names you'll recognize probably as people in manufacturing. We got a few coming back. Chris Lukey's going to be running live shows with Manufacturing Happy Hour on the spot. Got like a room reserved for him. He's gonna be doing some live interviews. So yeah, really good lineup. All geared around helping marketers in manufacturing. Like everything is catered to that audience. A majority of the speakers come from manufacturing, or at least understand that audience really well. So this is not a generic conference. This is made for industrial marketers.
Couple folks I want to point out is, everybody is phenomenal. Our dear friend Jake is a friend on the show. Dale is absolutely incredible. I think
yes,
everybody's worth it. I think Dale just in himself is worth the price of travel and to attend the show. And I believe he's doing 2 different sessions, but Dale is an absolute powerhouse. I think he's going to be coming on the show between now and then. If anything AI related, the guy's an Ivy League graduate. I think master's degree from was he Brown? I think he's a Brown guy, if I'm not mistaken. And just bachelor's degree, master's degree. He was doing AI like before AI was even a thing. It's phenomenal just to hear what he talks about. And then coming down here, Carla was on the show last year, Joe. She was actually she came on with Damon and myself. She was showing us like live examples of how she's using AI. She's taking like a Google spreadsheet and like converting it to HTML, and she's doing it on the show. She's taking she showed us how she created this robust buyer's guide and how she's with high level engineers, but she's using it through AI. So I'm telling you guys, this is just mind blowing. Dear friend Paul Kishay, we could go on and on. Jeff, your thoughts looking at the lineup?
Yeah. I know just hearing the feedback from last year, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be there again, but it seemed like, AI was a big focus in things last year. I know there's some sessions on that this year. What are some of the other maybe themes or emphases that as a whole this summit is kind of focusing on this year?
Yeah, it spans a wide range of things. AI will be a hot topic, for obvious reasons. So, you hit that one. Some things we're getting into this year that we didn't necessarily last year are some things like employer branding, and, making yourself an appealing place to work for, there's going to be a panel that Jennifer Dawkins from TREW's leading on, branding for recruiting the next generation, which, we got an all-star crew lined up there of people who know how to reach and influence this next generation. And so how do you bring that into the way you project your business to the outside world, which is marketing? It's just not customer acquisition. It's people. Kurt Anderson guy you may have heard of is leading a great panel called "Taking the Friction Out of the Buying Process." And what I like there is we got 4 people on here who think of that from different perspectives. And so we're gonna hit that topic. I don't know if I can say that there are a whole lot of themes because we're hitting on so many different things. We're gonna get into the essentials of like web design for manufacturers, which is something we didn't cover last year. A cookieless future and how that affects advertising. I'm excited about that one with Devin Webb, who I don't know, and I'm excited to meet him. So it's really it's an advantage of having that extra day here, is we can sort of expand the agenda to touch on. I mean, there's stuff in here for anybody who's a marketer. So yeah,
that's good.
So,
and like I mentioned before, like there's one thing with a summit like this, like the information looks phenomenal, but then the people, the connections, the all of that, like is a powerful 1-2 punch that, if somebody's on the fence of coming, it's like, of course, come for the content, but don't forget like the people, the connections, their masterminding and all that is invaluable as well.
Yeah, 100%. That was the most fun part of this, was just like you'd lead this day of learning and be like, oh man, that was like, I've absorbed so much here, and I've got notes, and attendees will get the videos later to be able to go revisit them and see the sessions that you didn't get to see because you sat in the other ones. But at night to unwind and like spend time with people and meet people you didn't. That there's something special about like, when you're especially like when you're a solo marketer working inside of manufacturing and you feel a little bit isolated, and now here are all these other people who are feeling that same thing. I think that connection was something that like I saw, just bonding people, because it's tough. It's like, marketing is a tough job, and being an industrial marketer in a sales driven world where companies are operating like it's, 1995 and just doing trade shows and cold outbound and, hoping people find them through Google searches, if you're a strategic marketer trying to change the way marketing works in this space and inside your company, and to have all these other people who are fighting that same fight, it's a natural bonding experience, and just a lot of fun. So
well, and Joe, if I'm not mistaken, I remember I distinctly, I will, and correct me if I'm wrong, I remember the line that you kept hearing over and over and over was, I found my people.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Did you remember that line? And so
that was kind of the tagline from the unofficial tagline that emerged like throughout the event. I heard multiple people say it in those words or similar. Yeah.
And we kept hearing that over and over. And I know, I remember when you shared that. So again, strongly encourage everybody out there, check out the Industrial Marketing Summit, man. Just, put it on your wish list, go buy your plane ticket. Don't even think about it. Throw it on your credit card. You pay for it next month. So Skylar says, hey, startup company discounts would be great. Hint, hint, wink, wink. How about that? So Skylar, dude, he's been a friend of the show. He has a powerhouse, kind of a 3D rendering e-commerce solution. Might be a great guest for you guys to consider on your show, just saying. But Skylar, definitely pop into Austin, dude. Those are your people at the Industrial Marketing Summit. Joe, let's go here. So for the solo marketer that you just hit it on the head, like, man, I'm in a silo, kind of just doing my grind. And like, as a solo marketer, like you're trying to justify your paycheck, right? Like get that return on investment, stay on top of all the latest, the greatest, what's going on social, what's going on LinkedIn, what's going on with AI's changing daily. For them to convince the powers that be, executives, someone's going to pay for that solo marketer to go to the show. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but any thoughts, suggestions for that solo marketer that can convince the boss, like, hey, yeah, they should go to that conference? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I guess I just watch, so many manufacturing organizations not, blink an eye at shipping all their equipment across the country and sending 10 people to a trade show, and what do you come back with? A stack of business cards is what I hear half the time, and maybe a few follow-up calls, and I'm not to bash trade shows, but like a lot of, I see so much investment in that. And like, how about investing in your internal marketer to help them become a strategic part of business development here, and to go learn from, the ones who are leaders in this space, like a lot of the guests, you've mentioned the Dale Bertrands and the, the Jake Halls and all the people on this list who are like figuring out how to do this stuff. It's not a cheap event, but it's not the most expensive event either. Austin's fairly accessible for most people, and it's a couple days out of your life. So I don't know. I think for companies that are serious about marketing, like there's nothing like this for the industrial sector. Unless I just am unaware of it, there's nothing like this going on right now. And so there's plenty of marketing stuff you can attend, but there's a lot of nuance, I think, to B2B marketing, and all the content is catered to people in that role in manufacturing. There's also, for what it's worth, you can buy the digital pass, and that's half the price and no travel. So it's an option too for those who may be working on a tighter budget or can't make the trip for one reason or another. But I don't know if I've got a great pitch other than that.
That was good, Jeff. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think for those, one-person marketing teams, like Joe said, it's challenging, right? And so just having, our people, in one place, because I talked with a lot of, marketing managers, and they're paying attention to other, marketing experts outside of manufacturing, right? And that's fine. Some of that is transferable in manufacturing. But I just find that manufacturing obviously has such a unique set of challenges and opportunities and use cases and needs that, why not come to an event that is specifically geared for the industrial and manufacturing space? So to me, it's a no-brainer, and we all know the challenges that marketers have in their solo departments. So, I'm confident they'll learn some important things and make some good connections and make it worthwhile.
Yeah. I love it. So, all right, Joe, we'll start. I know everybody's busy. Man, you've got a conference to put on. So give us a little nugget. You said you don't have to go super deep on what you and Wendy were talking about. So when we bring you back 5 years from now on the show, right? 5 of us, man, I'll be in my 60s. When you guys come back on the show, and you guys will still be rocking these great heads of hair that you have. So when we come back 5 years from now, what does the conference look like? Give us a vision.
Yeah, that's a great question. That is kind of what Wendy and I talked about, and I think you can try to keep it a little niche thing, which there's a lot of value in that, and it's a little more intimate and smaller venue. And the other thing is you try to blow it up into some massive conference, and I think some of this we just want to let happen organically. I think I'd love to see the crowd keep growing a little bit every year. We drew 200 last year. I think I mentioned earlier, we've got 251, I think, tickets sold for this year so far, and with about 6 weeks to go. So we're probably expecting to get into the 300s. But, if we can do 400 next year and 5 or 6 the following, there's a lot of industrial marketers out there, and would love to see it turn into something that keeps growing. I don't envision this being a 5,000 10,000 person conference, but so I think it'll remain niched, and I mean it will remain niched, but I think it'll keep that somewhat intimate feel. But the more people that are in this space trying to solve these problems that can be there, I think that's a positive for everybody. So I don't know. That's how I'd answer that, I guess.
Well, good summary. Well, and we're gonna pull you back 5 years from now. You're gonna crush it, dude. You're gonna be in the thousands. It's gonna be like one of the biggest shows of all time, right?
We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be a monster show. Quick question just hit me. Your current clients. Do you feel like this, Jeff Rowley's branding, thought leadership, outteach the competition, podcasting, what you guys we've done webinars together. What has this done for you for the street cred perspective with your current clients? Do you feel like this elevates you, or when you're bringing on a new prospect since you've started doing this, how has this helped elevate kind of your, I don't know if you're comfortable with that term, but that thought leadership in the industry, current clients and prospects?
And you're asking about the event, what role has that played? Yeah, I think it's been a talking point for me to say, when I am talking to, say, a new prospect, and talking about how we have embedded ourselves in the manufacturing sector. And my podcast has been running for 240 straight weeks, and my business partner John's running one for culture and recruiting, the manufacturing employers, his show, like culture, recruiting, hiring. And my team puts on a teaching podcast that comes out of a live show. And we put on this thing in Austin where we brought 200 people together last year. It's kind of a talking point to, proofs in the pudding here. Like, we are doing this, and we want to help you become that in your world. Right. And that would be the goal. So I think it's just been a good way to, not just talk about industrial marketing, but to like demonstrate the commitment to it and the fact that we're doing things to help elevate the space. So
awesome. Great answer. Jeff, closing thoughts, comments, questions?
No, for some reason, it just made me think, Joe, of like, obviously you're practicing what you preach, and I'm excited for the times where our clients do similar things. And I know some are in a little bit, but like they're building their communities of experts and things within their niche and kind of building that trust circle and putting out podcasts and books and summits and different things. So I'm excited for what you're doing. I think, looking 5 years and beyond, I think it's just going to elevate you, but also improve the whole manufacturing sector in ways that we probably don't even foresee at this moment, which is exciting.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So, hey, we'll wind down. Everybody's here is busy. So first off, hey, Jeff Long, thank you, dude. I appreciate you. I'm giving you a round of applause for our esteemed guest today. How about a big, if you've been sitting with us, what are we at, 46 minutes? How about stand up, give a big standing ovation to Joe Sullivan, Gorilla 76, for just crushing it. And just, man, Joe, I cannot express to you my respect, my admiration, commending you for you, Wendy, Adam, your whole team at Gorilla 76, the team at Cadenas, the team at TREW, for putting on this event for us to really have a good time. So, man, thank you for throwing the party. We appreciate it. So.
Oh yeah, thanks for all the kind words. You're always too kind, Kurt. But I appreciate you saying all that, and yeah, we're really excited to see both of you guys there too, and Kurt, to have you leading a panel too this year, which is going to be really awesome. So
I can't wait. So all right, guys, we're going to close out. So everybody, give a little shout out to Damon for he lost a loved one this past 24 hours. So Damon, sending you our love, brother. Appreciate you. And so Jeff, again, thank you. Joe Sullivan, thank you, brother. Connect with these guys on LinkedIn, and just do me a favor. Just go to the Industrial Marketing Summit website, get out the credit card. Just don't even bat an eye. Just do it. Let's just do it. And we want to see you in Austin. Jeff, we'll buy them. What are we going to buy them? We'll buy them like ribs or I don't know, something. That might get
barbecue.
Yeah, we'll buy them barbecue. That might get really expensive, but I don't know. We'll figure out something. So, hey, we'll see you
on Joe's tab. Don't worry about it.
We'll take care of it. So anyway, we'll see you guys in Austin. Joe, Jeff, hang out with me for 1 second. And guys, do me a favor. Just go out there, be someone's inspiration, just like these guys right here. Hey, last question. Who's winning the national championship Monday night? Joe Sullivan. Who's winning the national championship Monday night?
Well, my wife is a Notre Dame alum, so there's nobody else we could be cheering for.
Jeff Long, who's winning Monday night?
So there's a reason I call my podcast the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast, because the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to win.
Well, all right. Well, hey, you heard it.
It should be a good game.
It should be a great game. So, all right, guys, God bless you. Thank you. We'll see you guys on. Wait, we have a great guest on Monday. You know what? I don't know if I should say that. She lost her house. She lives in She lives in Malibu. She lost her house, and she's going to be on the show on Monday. So that's my show on Monday. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but anyway, I did. So, all right, we'll see you guys Monday. Joe, Jeff, hang out with me 1 second.
Will do. Thanks, Kurt.